Yes. Yes. How we all doing? Happy Sunday. Had a few days of recoup, rest. Believe me, right? I think for a week I went solid uploading every other day, like for over a week, and that I didn't realize how much that takes it out of you. So I took a few days rest. Had 3 days off where it was just like chill. Bank holiday obviously tomorrow, and during that time I was able to get a few things done and get a few new ideas. Got a new it's not really a documentary to be honest with you, but I got a new one in the pipeline for you guys as well. Let's get a few people in the chat. Big up to Nick every time. Big up G-Man, recovering from surgery, can't stay awake. Stop to smash the like button. We'll join the playback gang tomorrow. Nick, my man, I wish you the best of luck and whatever it was. I'm glad to know that you're recovering and speedy recovery. And I hope you're all good, mate. I hope you're enjoying the bank holiday. Big up to Ben. Even to you, Ben. Evening. Oh, evening all. Big up to Ben. Hope you're doing well as well, mate. Evening all. Hope everyone's well. I hope so too. It's a bank holiday, mate. It's been a good night of boxing. I went to sleep. I was super tired yesterday, so I slept through most of it. Well, pretty much all of it actually. I think I caught one or two cards onto the zone undercard like way early in the night. I got as far as Sky Nicholson, and I went to bed after Sky Nicholson's fight. So I'm catching up. And funny enough, the one I haven't seen, well, I say I haven't seen, I've seen highlights, but I've not actually sat down. I'm going to do it this evening. I was actually going to do it today during the day, but I started watching. I don't normally watch a lot of TV shows, but I started watching The Last Kingdom, and I'm really enjoying that. I'm really enjoying that show. So I ended up watching a couple of episodes of that instead. But I have seen the highlights of the Kay Taylor fight. Looked a fun little scrap, I have to say. Now, here's the thing. Before I get into it, I'm obviously not going to say who I think won because I didn't see the full fight. But I do see a lot of people saying that it was a robbery. And I'm always reluctant to agree with people when they say robbery because very few fights are robberies these days. There's a lot of razor close fights. But when you hear people bringing up the punch stats, that's when you know it's probably not a robbery. Because when people bring up punch stats, I'll touch on that later. But evening all, hope everyone is well. Good evening, great night of boxing. I don't care what people say about the decision. It was the best promotion for women's boxing. Although one scorecard was way off. But for me, fight of the year. It looked a fun scrap now, mate, I have to say. Now, I have to say I can't reserve judgment on who I felt won because I haven't watched it fully through. So for me to say I thought Katie Taylor definitely won, or I thought Amanda Serrano definitely won, be very ignorant of me because I haven't watched it and scored it myself. So, but I will. I've been told by several people not to watch it with the DAZN commentary. It was awful. And you know something? When I was watching the Sky Nicholson fight, and I knew I could hear there was a female fighter commentating on that, and come to find out it's Jessica McCaskill, and I just remembered, I just laughed. I just remember thinking, what the hell is she commentating on a Katie Taylor fight for? Because they don't like one another, obviously. Katie Taylor beat her couple of years ago, and I think it was 2018 or so, 2017, 2018, but it was around about then. And they don't like one another. So you really think she's going to be impartial? I mean, that was the Zone really do some bizarre things with their commentary in the UK and in the US in their teams. It's like they don't even. It's really like they having a breeze. It's like they just decide this person might do good because they've got a bit of beef with one of the fighters. But it's like you really think they're going to be impartial? Seriously, mate. Big up to Major K Dots. Big up to Victor. I really wish we could see. Yeah, I expected Liam Smith to win. I actually thought he'd win on points. I didn't think he'd stop Jesse Vargas. I was very surprised that people were picking Jesse Vargas to win the fight because Jesse Vargas, even at 140, wasn't that good. And at 147, he wasn't a big weight. He wasn't a particularly big welterweight. So when I hear he's up at 154, I'm like, what? Against Liam Smith, who's a legit 150, he's a big 154 pounder as well. He's a big guy at that weight. I was like, what? And people think he's going to beat Liam Smith? Liam Smith against Kell Brook makes so much sense, that fight. It really does. If Kell Brook was still on good terms with Eddie Hearn, and he wasn't looking for a big fight. You see, here's the thing. For me, that fight makes an awful lot of sense. Kell Brook versus Liam Smith at 154 makes an awful lot of sense, and I wouldn't mind seeing it. But Eubank versus Brook, he's going to make way, way more money. Way more money. And I can just see from a business point of view. And it's a winnable fight for Kell Brook. I mean, I genuinely was shocked how much he had left in the tank against Amir Khan. Yes, Amir Khan looked very poor, but Kell Brook, you could see those 2 pounds did make a difference. Much respect, rest, much deserved rest for your destruction post fights. Yes, destruction. Do you know something? I started using that just randomly, and because like years ago, like in 2018, 2019, I think it was when I started using destruction in post fights, and they all seem to do really well. So I was kind of like, why not keep going with it? Big up to Cy H, big up to G-Man, big up to you, my man. Katie is an absolute legend. She's definitely, they interviewed a few people in Bray, where Katie Taylor's from, and she's loved there. She's absolutely idolized there. She's really idolized in Ireland. Like, I don't think people realize how popular she is here. She really is a superstar. Like, she is up there with McGregor. Now, McGregor in his probably peak probably would have had more fans per capita than Katie Taylor, but he's really, even before the losses, he's really started to lose a lot of opinion. A lot of people stopped liking him. I never liked the guy. I thought he was a clown. Nicola Adams retired after she got a gift draw. I remember that. That was years ago, though. Great win for Liam Smith. Puts him right there back in the mix. Yeah, Liam Smith. Liam Smith, in reality, has only lost to 2 people. Canelo and Munguia. He lost that guy in Russia. I thought he won that fight. The guy's name escapes me, but I remember watching that fight live. I think it was on a Russian network or something like that. But he won the fight. I know he didn't get the decision, but go back and watch that fight. He won the fight. He absolutely won the fight. Wasn't the robbery 5-5? Or I did see Katie Taylor getting stunned in the 5th round, and I was very surprised. Like, if I had been watching that live, I would have thought she would have got stopped, because she was definitely shifting some punishment, but she definitely rallied back well. And like, I'm gonna watch it later. It did look a very entertaining fight. And here's an interesting thing as well. And thank you, mate. Thank you, Stephen, for pointing this out. I hope Eddie gets a man of his word, or is a man of his word, and gets Croke Park for the rematch. I think Taylor fairly easy if she doesn't stand and trade. I saw Eddie Hearn say he wants to do it in Ireland. Now, that would be a big event. And genuinely, she probably could do Croke Park. Seriously. But the thing about Irish boxing, it's not been in a good place for a while now, probably more than a decade. But really, when MTK and that Regency incident happened, that really was the kind of nail in the coffin for Irish boxing. Now MTK is apparently no more. I do think we'll see Eddie Hearn and a lot of others be a lot more comfy bringing shows back to Ireland, because Eddie Hearn done a show, a Matthew Macklin fight, and he lost that fight, funny enough, but he done it in 2014. That's the last time Hearn has been to Ireland for a show. I think Warren put 1 or 2 on in 2016. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I definitely know there had been televised shows in the UK, in Ireland, and not up the north in the Republic. But I can't remember. I think it might have been 2015, 2016. But the Regency shooting, that really did it. That was the nail in the coffin. Big up the Das IG, man. Hope you're happy and thriving. Yep, I'm having a thriving night. Even fellow boxing relatives, sounds like women's boxing broke barriers in the pop culture last night. It's, judging by what people are saying, it certainly did wonders. I wonder what sort of person Katie Taylor would have got. I'd be keen to know how it relates to. I'd say Katie Taylor, she's got a lot of sponsors. They give a lot for it. But I'd say she would have got about 6 figures, give or take. You see, one thing I don't understand is that Showtime and PBC, and even Golden Boy tend to publish the purses. We don't tend to get that from her. I know in the UK they never do it, but I would have thought in the US they would have. That kid Yafai is a real talent. Galal, yeah, he is talented, but I think Eddie Hearn, see, he's in a division which is full of talent, like Fly and Superfly. I mean, mate, like you got to look at flyweight. You got like Nakatane, who is just he is leagues above everyone else in that division. And then if he moves up and decides to go with Superfly, it don't get any easier. And you got these light flies coming up. As good as Galagify is, he's in a real like people think like Superfly and Fly, like, oh, how good can they? They're all little guys. They're all tremendously talented. Like you need to just look at the talent on offer. They're all tremendous fighters. Not a massive fan of women's boxing. On the basis that overall standard isn't that high, but last night was excellent. Yeah, like I tend to fall into that ballpark where I just I don't like it when people say like, oh, what I've done is superb because I've won a world title in like 5 fights, but it's like there's only like fucking 10 people in your division and they're all garbage. Whereas, you'd never get that in, the male side. But apparently, look, it looked good. I'll have to sit down and watch it tonight. I'm not doing it tonight, so definitely I will. Yeah, you see, I didn't understand that. I really didn't understand that because why would you put someone? It's like you're doing commentary. You want someone who is as objective as they as conceivably be. You're never going to get. You're probably always going to get like one who maybe has a preferred, but you don't try and show it. But Jessica McCaskill does not like Katie Taylor at all. So when you're putting her on commentary, it's like, do you really think she's going to be biased or do you objective and call it like it is? I'm sure Katie Taylor could drop Amanda Serrano in the first round, and Jessica McCaskill would say, probably slipped on water. Don't call it a knockdown. Not fair. Yeah, not counting it. That's what it was. That was a stupid idea. Top evening, you find Son of Swords. Yeah, big up the Swords. Best part of Dublin. It's not a bad place to live, man. It's not a bad place to live. There's worse. There's worse places in Dublin to live. Evening all. Liam Smith is too tough and durable for Brook. He would grind him down. It's a great fight. Like I can make a case for both guys winning that fight. I would favour Kell Brook to win the fight personally, but Liam Smith, like that's a fight I'd love to see Kell Brook in, and I think it's a fight that could really do good numbers and could be really fun to watch. But like that, I can't see it. It just for me, it just made, and Kell Brook and Eubank, I'd say we're only weeks away from that being announced. Same here, at the risk of being called the S word. The standard varies. Last night was probably the exception, but maybe elite women's boxing is just as good. When you have good, solid fighters, it's fine. The problem is that like I really was peeved off when they basically got Natasha Jonas up like 3 weight divisions to fight someone who looked like they just plucked out of a crowd, and they called that a world title fight. I was like, that's BS. That is just plain and simple BS. That's BS right there. But this fight, judging by the highlights, I'll have to sit down. Like it's only the highlights. I'll have to sit down and really watch it and score it properly. And I'm gonna do that later. Of course, I'll name this account later. Big up to Joe Stunner Music, Joe Stunner Boxing, and Joe Stunner Music. Man of many talents, Joe. Big up to you, man. Hello, you. I really enjoyed that card. The Taylor Serrano fight was superb. Yeah, it did look entertaining. All right, it really did. Hi, G man. Liam Smith, what champion at 154 do you give him a chance with? Mate, neither. He's not beating Charlo, and he's not beating Castano. Neither, man. As much as I like Liam Smith, and he's out of all the Smith brothers, he's the one I admire the most. But the nicest way, he's not beating Charlo and he's not beating Castano. But saying that, the winner of Charlo Castano is going to be undisputed. I would imagine they vacate. So he's beaten Fowler, he's beaten Vargas. So I'd imagine he'd be up there in at least one of the sanctioned bodies. So he may very well get to fight for a vacant title, and may very well get in there against someone that he maybe has a good chance with. So there's chances there for Liam Smith, definitely. Did Josh Warrington get a diving header in on the like button? Yeah, be like Josh Warrington and headbutt the like button if you could. 60 in the building. Let's try and get 50 likes in here. 60 in the building. Big up, G-Man. Where's the piss bottle? It's still full, mate. I got to get this empty first, and then we'll see. Once that empties, we'll see what we do. Prince Charles Martin, Beefy was class. Yeah, Beefy's not a bad fighter, man, to say the least. Beefy's a good little fighter. He is. I think that he's only, like, if you think about it, he only really has lost 2 fights. He really only has. Realistically, he's only lost 2 fights. I don't count that Russian one was BS. That was a bad decision. Did Nicola Adams have issues with her eyes? Yeah, it was something to do with her. It was an injury. I remember that. It was a real sudden retirement as well. Donating. He's got that bag, and I'm telling you now, I'm going to take a trip to London again for a few. I like taking just trips away, seeing a few of my friends over there and stuff like that. But my God, I won't have the bag, judging by how say I do have it, but I sure as hell won't have it after the hotel. The hotels are crazy money. It's like $1,000. Well, it's 900 for 4 nights. It's crazy. Still working at home base. Jesus Christ, man. World champion. So that's the thing. I think that sums up boxing, if you think about it. Like, people look at AJ, Fury, Canelo, guys like that, and they see them with money, cars, etc. And I guess people just think like, oh, boxers are... Here's a world champion who, when he finishes boxing, he was managed by MTK. So I think that's another kind of nail in the coffin. They don't make enough in their career. They have to go working at home, storing more. It's crazy. What fight would be a genuine 50-50 for Shakur? That Valdez fight was not close. Shakur, I did see. I thought I picked him to stop Valdez, and he did everything but. He dropped him in the 6th round. Brilliant display from Shakur. He's only 24. It's just, he is so talented. I don't think people know that this kid is legit. He is so incredibly talented. Only fights I could see him, like, he's gone lightweight, definitely. And him against Loma. Oh, ooh, I would favour Loma still. But I wouldn't see him against Haney 50-50. I'd pick Shakur over Haney, pick him over Garcia, pick him over Tank. I'd pick him over Kambosos. I'd pick him over Teofimo. Pretty much Lomachenko is the only fight I really see as being a real kind of, like, that kind of fight. Threw a few away, had Taylor on the ropes round 5, had it been 3-minute rounds. Yep, I heard people mention that as well. What do you make of family members like Dean White living off White's name, making money from it? They're doing what they got to do, mate, at the end of the day. A lot of people do that as well. A lot of people would just look at John Fury. It's a good example. I know most people are going to say this is ridiculous, but I think Shakur looks better than Mayweather did at 24. Now that's a statement, mate. That is a statement and a half. Mayweather, like Pretty Boy Floyd, I don't think people realize how good he was. Like, him at super feather, Floyd Mayweather at super feather was legit a killer at that weight. Like, he could do, like, he was just relentless at super feather. 130 to 135, they were his best weights. They were Floyd Mayweather at his peak. And, oh, you'd be hard pressed. Like, honestly, like, I remember people would say, like, well, years ago, even still probably the odd stream I get asked, Prince Nassim versus Floyd super feather. It's like, it's not even hard. Mayweather would beat the living crap out of Prince Nassim. And I like Prince Nassim, but it's not even a hard one. It's like, people act like, it's a big pick'em fight, Nassim versus Mayweather at 130. It's like, no, it's not. It's Mayweather beat the living crap out of Prince Nassim. I've not watched the Taylor fight, caught some of the highlights, and Taylor looked gone in the 5th. Yeah, mate, like, when I was looking at that, and I was like, how did she claw that back? Fair play to Katie Taylor, big up to her. Meant to ask this for a while. A journeyman in boxing, good experience, good experience, or paid losers who are holding back the sport? Do we distinguish between the two? Paid losers and legit guys like Sokolowski? Well, here's the thing, right? There are some journeymen who are genuinely, as you say, just paid losers. They are. But there are some of these journeymen, like Camille Sokolowski, and I think there are guys like who do have a lot of losses. Like, if you remember, is it Kirsten Langling or something like that? He was called Mr. Reliable. 300 fights. Only ever stopped, I think, 2 or 3 times. And he was the sort of guy where if your prospect goes in there, you're not. He was kind of the guy who kind of introduced these prospects to the boxing game, the pro game, so to speak, because how negative opponents can be, how you be patient, not reckless, and he won his fair share. I think he had 12 wins. I've watched. They did spar actually. They sparred for Canelo and Triple G respectively. Brooks sparring before. Brooks was holding his own. I remember that actually. Dublin very busy on a Saturday evening out. Yeah, yeah. Dublin City is always busy on a Saturday evening. Like I was in Dublin City last Friday, and yeah, man, that city is. I don't like Dublin City personally. I don't go there very often. I prefer London City. I prefer Belfast City, but Dublin City when it's the way it is now, like yeah, it is absolutely packed every night. And like, Dublin City's not a bad city. It's just not the cleanest city in the world. I wish there was an option where you could mute the commentary. Oh, mate. Or you could just, if I could just do watch alongs for every single zone card, it'd be better. Yeah, if we could meet in the middle, like where it's like, you know exactly where my time is to yours, and it'd be like, right, you don't have to listen to anyone but your boy. Or get me and Jamie on and we could do the commentary. That'd work out a lot better, I think. Just get me and Jamie to do it, and there you go, problem solved. But still have the sound of the crowd. I usually put on music. Well, see, here's the thing, right? That's why I love doing the watch-alongs, even for the zone cards, because even to the American team, the American I don't mind as much. Although judging by some of the things people were saying about it last night, I say it was bad. But the broadcast team is just so hard to listen to. It's just awful that I just decided, why not? I'm just going to watch along to all these cards so I don't have to listen to it. Can Leeds win a world title? Yeah, definitely. I definitely think he can, because at the end of the day, right, you got to figure that the winner of Castano Charlo probably not going to stick around very long at that weight. So them titles will all get vacated. So he might be able to pick one up. Malcolm Tan, Kell Brook won't fight. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Like, as good a fight as it is, it's just not a financially worthy fight for Kell Brook. Journeymen are essential. Yep. Journeymen have a place in it, definitely. I do often raise my eyebrow when I see people like Prince Patel is a good example, going to Hungary against these just like they're not even journeymen. They're just guys you pluck from the crowd and getting like I'm 19-0 with 19 knockouts, and they're not even journeymen. They're just literally guys. A little he's knocked out. There you go. I don't see the point in that. That's one was plucked out of the crowd like Morrison's opponents in the 90s. I remember Morrison would fight he would fight guys like Carl Williams, and he struggled with Carl Williams, and he fought James Tillis. Like literally, these were all like a decade past their best. Imagine a man fighter losing to drawing one of his last 4 fights and getting the world title shot. That's what you're dealing with. Like, and look, no disrespect, but like, it's just stuff. If you're anyway, like you look at people like Sky Nicholson and all that, like they'll definitely win world titles because they're all right in terms of what they do, in terms of their ability, and that's just enough. That's the thing. I would say if you're just okay as a female boxer, you probably win a world title. If you're just okay as a male boxer, you're not even going to get a British title for the most part. Prediction for Tim Tszyu, definitely Tim Tszyu. I remember when Shannon Court, yeah, exactly. Like that was a stupid fight. Like the fact that they weren't even, they were like 7-8. Like that was just stupid. Flanagan does. I knew Flanagan had a kid, but I didn't think he had that many. Obviously not. I know he's obviously joking there, but it obviously implies that he has a few. Where did Kenny Flanagan disappear to? What happened to him? I think someone said he works in Homestore and More. Yeah, that's the one fight where I'd still pick Shakur over it, but take Lomachenko out of the equation at lightweight, that's kind of probably the next hardest. I think he beat the crap out of Ryan Garcia. Oh, he beat the crap out of Ryan Garcia, in my opinion. Ryan Garcia technically makes too many mistakes. Way too many mistakes. He beat the living crap out of Ryan Garcia. In terms of some of the other guys, Tank Davis, here's the thing. Tank Davis against Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz isn't a bad fighter. He's not a bad fighter. And Tank Davis, yeah, he struggled with him. He definitely did. He kind of just resorted to just following him around the ring. I think when he beats the crap out of Rowley, which he will, he's going to absolutely iron Rowley out. I think then people will be bigging him back up again. Because Rowley is just, if you want to have a style tailor-made for Tank Davis to look good at, you get Rowley Romero. Literally, Rowley is entertaining. He really is. He's an entertaining character, but he is just so crude. He's so easy to hit. Tank is going to absolutely batter him. Oh my God, he is going to batter him. Was the deal with the brawl at the press conference? What was the deal? I didn't see much of it now, to be honest with you. That fight right there, Shakur versus Loma. I have to think about this one. I would favour Loma now, but I don't know how long we're going to have Loma, if you know what I mean, the Lomachenko we have now. So if he declines even slightly, I'm thinking Shakur will win that. Man, Shakur is talented as hell. Signed into the wrong channel. Ammo Williams looked like one to watch. One round destruction. Yeah, I've seen Ammo Williams a few times, and he actually looks quite good. I'm actually quite impressed with him. If Josh Taylor stayed at lightweight, Shakur moved up, who would you back? Natural size and just the sheer brute force, I'd go with Josh Taylor. And maybe he'd be more fired up for Shakur. Not the bag, but at least I could do that. Man, anything helps. That's it. As I said, like, YouTube for April was quite good to me. So whatever I get from YouTube between now and June, that's going to basically pay for the hotel, because that's how dear. I couldn't believe it. I nearly died. Like, that same hotel I'm looking to stay in, I stayed in there for my birthday last October. For 3 nights, it was like €190, so it's about £170. And it's like 900 quid now. I'm like, what is going on? Darnell Boone, exactly. There's a journeyman. And Darnell Boone is a journeyman. But, mate, like, look at the wins he has. Adonis Stevenson, some people don't have the footage of the fight. I think Darnell Boots has the footage of the fight. Say he beat Kovalev, dropped Andre Ward heavily. Like, he hurt Ward worse than Kovalev did. He was a guy where he was crude, he was very basic. But, mate, if he was useful. Dylan White, you called that one wrong. Yeah, I know. And people still comment on that 3 reasons why Dylan White beats Tyson Fury video. And they're like, see, you were wrong. I'm like, I done one for both. So, I was saying this is how I think he can. And yeah, I got that pick way wrong. It's going to take me a while to get to redeem myself for that one. I really took a stand. I went full-blown Richard Dwyer there. GamblersAdvisory.com. The opinion you should follow should be your own. Here's my thinking. I'm liking Dylan White for this one. I went to Crow Park for a U2 gig, and the price of drink there was nuts. Yeah, I can imagine, man. And oh man, I'd say it's through the roof. I haven't been to Crow Park in many years. Many years, since I was about 13. So a while. Some talented, man. He is talented. Floyd at super featherweight was an all-time great. That's when he could knock out Power. Yeah, great performance. Belfast. Yeah, Belfast is the proper Irish. Like, in Dublin used to be good for fights, but now they're just like, I don't think they've done a fight in Dublin for 3 years. Top 5 British welterweights right now. You gotta, well, I'm not gonna say Kell Brooks, not a welterweight anymore. Right now, probably, well, Conor Benn, I pick him over most guys. Pretty much, actually, I pick him over all the guys at domestic level. I pick him over Congo. I pick him over McKinson. Probably gonna go with Ben McKinson, and then maybe I want to say Usman, or Ezman, but he's garbage. And Ben Ben's at British level. I reckon he'd do all right. Ben McKinson, Congo. Probably put Usman at number 5 or Esmond at number 5. Who would I put at number 4? Because Esmond is not good. It's not that good anyway. Even Chris Jenkins is still useful enough. You think Sky is okay? Haven't seen much of her, but according to the eye test, she fights like a man. She's not got any power. She couldn't crack. She could not punch her way out of a wet paper bag. But she definitely can box. She definitely has good boxing ability. But in terms of punching power, couldn't punch her way out of a wet paper bag. Yeah. I seen in one of Prince Patel's fights. I think he had it in Egypt, where they had like a 5 minute round. And you can go on BoxRec and see it as well. He got like a first round knockout or something like that. And it even says it on BoxRec. The first round was 5 minutes. It's like, mate, this is how bad some of these shows are, that they're giving you a 5 minute round, and that's, they actually class that as a first round knockout. Like, I'd be like, get that changed to no contest, 5 minute round. And it took him 5 minutes to knock out a journeyman with no break. Get that changed to no contest. Vander Holyfield was good at breeding as he was at boxing. He had more kids than Boris Johnson. Yeah, oh yeah, breeding. That's what you mean. Is the American version of Little. Rowley is funny though. He is. I give him that. He is funny, but he's not going to do much. 88 in the building. How many likes do we have? Because you need to smash the like button. Get the algorithms to look kindly on your boy. 41 likes. Can we get to 50 likes? Got 88 in the building. Just smash the like button to help your boy out. I favour Loma, but only if it happens soon. That's kind of my thinking as well, mate. That's my thinking. I'm glad Stevenson won against Valdez, the drug cheat. I like Valdez, the fighter, but that was bad. That was more. The WBC should be ashamed of themselves for that one as well. Mate, they will give him. How long did they give Vitaly Klitschko? They gave him like 2 years. They'll give him plenty of time. They'll give him plenty of time. Have you heard any news on Fitzgerald? Oh man, no. I don't like hearing news on Fitzgerald because it's not good news. It never normally is. I don't know. I hope to God he is sorting himself out, because lately it seems like whenever you hear news on Scott Fitzgerald, you just end up like that. And he is so talented, or was anyway, such a talented fighter. Oh, honestly, such a talented fighter. Scott Fitzgerald was. I say was because I just can't see him having any real success, if you know what I mean, if he ever does come back after everything. Hopefully he's sorting himself out. But it's, every time I see news on him, it's sad. How am I feeling about this? I'm going with Canelo. Got to get the prediction out this week, mate. Still do not recognise women's boxing. Are you fully convinced? Define fully convinced, like, mate, like, I appreciate good fights, and good fights can be male or female. Do I think that some of them, look, when I look at that Shannon Courtney, Ebony Bridges thing, I was like, they shouldn't be fighting for a world title. Same with Natasha Jonas. But talent pool down there was so low. But when you look at like Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields, judging by the highlights on this fight, there's a lot of fun fights to be had there. And there's a lot of good fights as well to be had there. But when I see crap like, you know, you're ranked number 7, you're ranked number 8, you've had 5 fights, you've had 6 fights. Yep, there you go, there's the world title. It's like, what? What happened to 1 and 2? Boots said when he faced Kovalev, said that the best he faced was Kovalev. But great credit to Ward and Stevenson in an interview. That's crazy. I'd love to see the first Kovalev fight with him. Chop Corley was a good journeyman. You had the drunken master. What was his name? I can't think of his name now. Emmanuel Augusta, the drunken master. Remember him? He was fun. What about the competition of Ale Raimi? OMG. Give the man a like. Exactly. Give the man a like. Eddie is lining up Jake Paul versus Tony Bellew. No shame. He has no shame. And Bellew would jump at that fight. Like, Tony Bellew is such a narcissist that he will absolutely he will love that fight. He is so narcissistic. He loves the fact that Jake Paul's mentioned him, keeping him relevant. Tony Bellew is a fool. Yes, G-Man, really enjoyed the WTF video on Dylan White. Well, actually, since people enjoyed that one so much, we've got another one planned this week. Not on Dylan White, obviously. But since people enjoyed that, I've got another WTF video this week. Do you think do I think Sky Nicholson with her size ability would benefit from a Peter Fury? Oh yeah, she would, definitely. Peter Fury. Savannah Marshall, I'm picking her over Clarissa Shields. Not just because she's a good fighter, she's a good puncher. But because Peter Fury in her corner, Peter Fury is such a good trainer and he's such an eye for boxing that expect him to really see. He probably has his game plan in the back of his head how he's gonna get Savannah Marshall to beat Clarissa Shields. He's just so good at seeing things in fighters. He's got a great boxing brain. Peter Fury is tremendous. Now, it's not just to say that he'll be able to devise a plan. Savannah Marshall will have to stick to it, but she's good enough to be able to do it as well. I just cannot see Clarissa Shields beating Savannah Marshall. I cannot. I'd be shocked if she does. And Clarissa Shields is a good fighter. Don't get me wrong, but I just think Savannah Marshall with Peter Fury with her talents, I just can't see anything other than her beating her. Canelo being juiced again. Man, I'd say that the truth will come out on a lot of fighters. He loves them Mexican burritos. Even the lads, big up to G-Man. Is that Australia or New Zealand, mate? Either or, big up to you. Will we see a WTF on Billy Joe? Eventually. I think there's a time and a place for all them, and I think Billy Joe's will be a bit later. My lady, how are you? Karma Serene, big up to you, my dear. How are you? I hope you're well. I appreciate the super chat to 20 quid. Thank you so much. G-Man, will you pick me up from the airport when I come over for the... Of course I will. There's only one airport, and it's only like 10 minutes away from my house. So, of course, give you a lift. I'll pick you up. If it's in Crow Park, I will be telling you where to stay, exactly, etc., etc. Crow Park is, like, weird, right? Because Crow Park is... There's houses all around Crow Park, and I always feel like they must have really got them houses cheap, because whenever there's concerts on, I'm sure they're up to like all hours listening to it. But if you've ever been to Crow Park, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. But yes, appreciate the 20 quid. Thank you so much, my dear. Smash the like and big up to Jamie. Big up to Jamie. I caught Jamie's live, and he's going to the US this week. So big up to him. And obviously, if you're doing any lives before that, I'll obviously lock in. A big up to you. Tony Bellew just wants to get home safe to his kids. And other news. Wait a minute. Did Carl Froch fight in front of 80,000 people at Wembley? Did he? Did he actually? God, I don't know if I ever knew that. It's not like Carl Froch has ever said it, has he? Do you think Dylan White goes to Sky? Yeah, I'd say so, mate. I'd be very surprised if he didn't. Very surprised. Mr. Bellends, glad he's there. Big up G-Man, who wins? Baby, well, that's a good question, actually. Baby Ting versus Shane Fury. Oh, Jesus, man, I don't know. I'll probably... Oh, gee, that's a tough one, man. You don't mess with either guy. I'll probably go with Baby Ting. My Baby Ting looks strong. I wouldn't want to cross either of them, but Baby Ting, I think, especially wouldn't want to. Canelo's face yesterday ringside was sad in round 4. He knew it was over Valdez. I knew it was over Valdez from the get-go. Shakur Stevenson is just, I've said it once, I'll say it again, he is tremendous. Like, I think that, I wonder if it's going to take a few years. Maybe they already are, but I think we'll look back in maybe about 6 years' time and just say, what? This fighter is a once-in-a-blue-moon fighter, because he is tremendously talented. Shakur Stevenson is absolutely phenomenal. When's Yard fighting next? Pull your finger out, Frank. Do you know something? I'm really, like, if I was in Frank Warren's situation, right, and I had Anthony Yard, I would be like, I don't really care if he's going to fight a bum. I would have put him on Fury White on the undercard, because he would bring tickets as well. And he would just, name value more so than anything. I would have been like, here, it's only going to be pennies, but you're going to get out in front of X amount of thousand people. Let's just put him on that card. I would have done that. I would have said, just to hell with it. Tyson Fury retired to avoid the Klitschko rematch. Now he's playing a smart game. He will not stay. He will not stay retired. What are you going to do with the karma for the 20 quid? If he's ever in Ireland, I'll definitely pick up from the airport. 100%. It's only 10 minutes from my front door. Good enough to beat the YouTuber? I'm not so sure. Big up to E-Machine. Big up. Baby Ting is terrible at boxing. I've seen him on the heavy bag. Shane will destroy him. Be an interesting scrap though. If it was a street fight, good lord. Agree, baby ting is too strong. That's some baby ting. That be some baby ting. Eddie was complaining Sky didn't give any coverage. I did. I saw that. I seen that. But before I go any further, I'll just address the first part of that. Sky wanted Eddie Hearn to stay, and he left them. So, what does he expect? I was listening to Joe Stunner's video on it, and he said it's like a jilted lover. It is. It's like you break up with a girl, and you're seeing another girl. Are you gonna go over to her and be like, "I'm trying to get in this girl's here good books. Will you go over and tell her how good I was to you?" They're not gonna do it. They're gonna be like, "Get away from me! Get the hell away from me!" They're not gonna do it. So obviously, I think Sky were obviously gonna do that. Complete hypocrisy when he was at Sky, they never gave complete hypocrisy when was at Sky. They never gave mention to non-matchroom fighters. See, they would mention the odd time. They would occasionally. And I remember the early days of PBC, they were showing a lot of PBC fights, but they ain't gonna do Eddie Hearn any favors whatsoever. I've seen Baby Thing ringside. He's the size of a block of flats. Do you ever see the interview? I think it was in Saudi Arabia where it's Dave Colwell, Adam Smith, and Baby Thing, and he's like, it's like two little dwarfs. And Baby Thing just like, I'm hurt you. I hope you reach 500 live viewers like last week, but minimum I hope there's 300. I think last week there was still a lot of hype around the Fury White thing. So if I'm in the 90s, I'm happy. Normal lives, my normal lives were in around the 90 to 100 mark most of the time. So I'm happy with that, man. Believe me, there was a time I couldn't even get 10 alive. So when I see 90, I'm like, yay, 90 people. Thank you. I'm happy with anything. Take that back, G-Man. Sky is just starting to sit down. Her shot should be world champion before you know it. Well, I've no doubt she'll be world champion, but in terms of her being a puncher, I still haven't seen much of it. How do you think Shakur versus Sweet Pea will pan out? Oh, mate. I love Sweet Pea. I'm a bit biased towards Sweet Pea. I'd probably go with Sweet Pea to edge that on points. He is a unit. His size is remarkable. Do we need it? No. No more divisions. It's bad enough we have Bridgerweight. Is Eddie Hearn in decline? Will Frank Warren become the top dog now? I certainly feel Eddie Hearn's under pressure. On the decline, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say, mate. I would say that me and Jamie and Hatman, we definitely agree that he's lost his touch. He's lost kind of touch with boxing fans, and I've always felt this. Like, I don't really mind Eddie Hearn that much. I think he's actually quite funny. I think he has some good banter. But I've always felt that, especially now, Eddie Hearn kind of has this mentality that boxing fans, we don't really know. He can say something that he thinks we all believe it. So, like, when he came out with the zone and said game changed, and he announced this team, with the exception of Ade and Andy Lee, is crap, absolute crap, and it's just shouldn't be. Just get rid of them all. The fact that he said that he thought he believed that people would take that and be like, "Oh, it's amazing," shows that he was out of touch then. The fact that he's not changed it, it's just, yeah. I think he's out of it. I think he really thinks that because he was able to do so much with Sky, and that because Sky had a lot of casual fans and the Zone won't, a lot of people who were subscribing certainly early on, probably still to the Zone, would be more on the hardcore end, thought he'd be able to get away with that, was just BS. The show's been okay. He's had some okay shows. They've not been amazing, some of them. I mean, that show at Liverpool was very good. But for the most part, they've been all right. But I definitely think he's just fine. I think since he's not got Sky, the big corporation of Sky, backing him up with the marketing, I do think he's finding it hard. And I think it's really hitting him now. Will Frank Warren become top dog? Well, he's certainly getting back up there. If he's... Look, Joe Joyce versus Joe Parker is a great fight. He's looking to put that on next. If Tyson Fury is going to fight again, definitely. So he'll be looking. I would be amazed if he's not retiring. I know he's not, take this one to the bank. He's not retiring. Take it to the bank. He's not retiring. So he's got Fury. Frank Warren's doing well for himself. And if a lot of these guys are now free from MTK and Probellum, I wouldn't be shocked if a good few of them go with Warren. Hearn is still young. He's learning. Yeah, I think, look, it's never always going to be, you're never always going to have this smooth sailing ride. There's obviously going to be peaks and troughs. There's always going to be hard times. But I think Hearn is going through a hard time. And I hope he comes through. I really do. I like the zone. I hope it succeeds. I just hope that he makes the relevant changes. Because I think he needs to. I think that he needs to put the ego aside and really listen to the fans and just say, hang on a sec. The fans don't like my broadcasting team. They don't like this. They don't like the fact that, maybe I'm not putting these fighters in fights that they feel are good enough. Maybe he'll have to take a few L's with fighters. Maybe he'll have to, upset a few of his friends and say, look, it ain't working. Chris Lloyd, see it, Bellew, you've been good to me all these years, but the people just don't like you. Just see it, or I'll put you down on one of the pre-fight shows or something like that, and we'll just fresh up the lineup. What do the fans want? They want David Haye. Fine. Here's David Haye. You want Paulie Malignaggi? Fine. I'm telling you now, that would benefit. That would help. That would genuinely help. And I think that would actually, Eddie Hearn, I think that would improve his standing with a lot of fans. Because here's the thing, right? It's like this. Oh, sorry, I'll read that now in a sec. But when you have promoters or you have people in any sport, not even in sport, even in just everyday life, when they actually listen to a lot of the fans, when the fans say, we want this, we want you to change this, and they actually do it, that to me takes something and shows something. And I think if Eddie Hearn did listen and say, right, the fans don't like this, okay, fair, we're going to have to change it. We're going to have to change it. Changed. There you go. He's happy. And I'm telling you now, that would benefit. It really would. Does the casual interest in boxing disappear massively if Tyson retires? There'll always be fighters, but in terms of British boxing right now, I mean, Dylan White, if he ever comes back, he'll take some rebuilding. AJ, those two losses have really damaged his reputation with fans. If he loses again, I think that's it. And Fury, it's quite remarkable, really. I mean, this time 5 years ago, he was not liked at all by a lot of fans. Not liked at all. And now, 5 years later, he is pretty much the standard bearer for British boxing. He is the gold standard almost. Not in terms of just sheer talent. And he's a very talented fighter, as Tyson Fury, don't get me wrong, but he is the man. I mean, 95,000 at Wembley. Crazy. Who should Shakur fight next? He'll go to 135, definitely. I would say I would be surprised. Now, if Kambosos wins against Devin, wouldn't be shocked if Bob tries to make Kambosos versus Shakur. Wouldn't surprise me. And then maybe he would look to have Shakur in there against someone like a Nakatane or someone like that, and see if Lomachenko can get a fight with the winner of Kambosos Haney. And if he wins, he's got plans for Shakur, put it like that. And I can see him. There's no slowing. Shakur's not one of them fighters where you're going to be taking baby steps with him when you're moving him up in weight. You can put him in there straight to the deep end, and he'd be good to go. He would be good to go in there at the deep end straight away. That of which I have no doubt. I mean, Shakur is just, talented as hell. Frank, hardly a young pup. Makes you wonder if there's any new boxing models coming up. Does Frank have an heir lined up? He's got his sons. I wouldn't be surprised to see Eddie going to. I hope not. Now, I know Eddie Hearn is high up in darts now. I think he's managing director of the PDC. And you see, here's something, and I think Team Hearn would regret doing this. They'll regret this. They signed a deal with Sky to have Sky keep showing darts. I think that's a mistake, because if Barry and Eddie run the PDC, so I'm sure if there was any way they could have got out of that contract, they could have been able to get the darts on the zone. Now, darts it's not football. It's not Premier League football. but it definitely has a huge fan base. Huge. So if they could have done something with darts on the zone, that really would have helped. It really would have, because it is a big sport. Like, it's probably, I would say darts is up there in top three in the UK anyway. It's up there, very much up there. So it's above boxing. So if they get a sport even like that on the zone, it would have helped. Last year, Eddie Hearn had a great year, but it's had I think this year will be, yeah, he will bounce back, as all of them do. Bricktop will be feeding Eddie Hearn. I'd say Warren is looking at her and just thinking, just like your dad, like father, like son, I got yous. I can't say Eddie's declining. We just had a card headlined by woman, arguably a better and more memorable event than the record-breaking Wembley show. The Wembley show was crap, but the main event was all the people cared about for that one. Fury versus Lewis versus Fury, Lewis, Vitaly Klitschko. Who's the best? Lennox Lewis, definitely. I'd pick Lewis to beat Fury. The violent shove on White was dangerous. Could have smashed his head in the canvas. It was either that or he was going to hit him again. So it was either or. Gee, man, you need to do a live with... Oh, man. Get myself cancelled. He'll get me cancelled. Eddie has lost the grip on British boxing, but at world level, he's still putting on big cards. Yeah, like, Eddie Hearn is a great promoter. Like, I mean, people, like, I know he rubs people the wrong way, but he's a great promoter. That's not me. Some people say, I get it always. Like, I get people saying you're a Matchroom hater, you're a Matchroom fanboy. I'm impartial. I criticize him when he needs to be. But if you look at what Hearn's done for British boxing, he's a fantastic promoter. You cannot take that away from him. I have a feeling that boxing might need to get back to more. Yeah, definitely agree. I think that's 100% terrestrial TV for boxing in general is a good thing. Remember Al Heyman when he was putting free fights on? Like, remember Thurman Garcia? That was free to air. Thurman Garcia, it'd be pay-per-view nowadays. And that was only 5 years ago. Seems like yesterday. 106 in the building. And I've got 72 likes. I don't want to keep asking, but if you could smash the old like button, it does help your boy out. I want Garcia versus Tank. I'd like to see that too. Gee, man, at what subscriber count will you get a studio? That's a good question, actually. I might seriously, if I do 10K, I might seriously have to look into it. The only problem is, mate, right, is that where I live, there won't be any studios. I'd have to drive about 10, 15 minutes into like my local town, which is Swords, which is big enough, but I can't see there having many studios there. But it's something I'll definitely look into, would be getting a studio if I get to 10K. 10K, I think we'd move it out and we would go a bit more kind of global with that. Definitely. Don't think Shakur would be rank underdog against anyone. No. Why did Joyce leave Hay? Hay could promote Sand to the Arabs. He got Chisora pay-per-view fights. Well, I guess because, you see, I think Joyce was promoted by Hay, but I think he was managed by Schaefer, if memory serves me correct. Or he was, but basically he was fighting on Haymaker. David Hay was doing his own shows on Dave, which was actually, that whole concept was a great concept if it could have worked, but it just wasn't sustainable. He just wasn't able to keep it going, and he went with Warren. He's not doing too bad at Warren, I guess, but Joe Joyce doesn't have that many years left in boxing. He's in his late 30s now. Who do you think Tiafimo will return with? Truly hope. Oh, I'd still pick Shakur over Tiafimo, definitely. Eddie getting frustrated because the zone quality is better than BT and Sky. It doesn't have the platform to promote it fully. Straight up, that's pretty much it. Or at least new curtains. Yeah, we definitely need to get... I definitely need to... People keep telling me to, so I've got to probably have to look into it. Gee, man, you need a skinhead and a beard. Definitely no beard. The only time I ever have stubble... I can't grow a beard anyway because I can only get to like stubble and stuff like that. I can't even grow a beard anyway, so... But definitely no beard. And in terms of skinhead, nah, man. Trip to Turkey eventually. That's the next trip to Turkey. Sort that out. Can Tiafimo seriously beat Kambosos? Can a serious Tiafimo beat Kambosos? I think he'll always have trouble with Kambosos from a stylistic point of view. I think he'll always have a bit of trouble with Kambosos. Tiafimo Lopez needs to go back to Joey Camacho. He needs to tell his dad to get the hell out of the corner because his dad is he's not helping. His dad is an idiot. He's an absolute fool of a man to say, just knock the guy out. We won 10 rounds to 2. He didn't give him any advice. He didn't give him any sound advice. He's just completely loud. No, man, get rid of your dad. Your dad is just not helping at all. And take it a bit. Teofimo Lopez, he got himself gassed up when he beat Lomachenko, and he thought like he can walk on water. Teofimo Lopez is a good fighter, very good fighter, and I like watching him. But he needs to get a grip. He needs to just get a grip, get back to reality. And I think as well as that, no. He won't tell him to leave, but maybe bring him down, move him down the car, move him down the team. That's the problem. But, man, Lopez, I think Lopez is going to be, I think he's going to look poor in his next fight. I think he's going to look poor in his next fight, put it like that, whoever he's in there with. I think the same with Josh Kelly. When he comes back, he's going to look poor in his next fight. I think when guys like that are they have such a belief in themselves that it's almost coming into delusion. That when they do finally lose and the glass is shattered, it never quite heals. Never quite heals. Sugar Hill to train Joshua, only chance of return. Sugar Hill would be a brilliant fit for AJ, yes, but I can't see it. I can't see it. And that would be a trainer who would do wonders for Anthony Joshua. Would have beaten Kambosos. He probably would have, yep. Although Kambosos is a good fighter because that team was focused, not blinded by belts. Modern day team, yeah. And his stamina was all over the place. He was swinging wildly. It was just the credit to Kambosos. He done a fantastic job. But Lopez looked just awful. Just did a terrible performance. Terrible performance from Teofimo Lopez. People, I've been going for nearly an hour now. I didn't want to go too long. So if you have any more questions in there, get them in. We'll do maybe another 5-10 minutes. I don't want to be going too long because I want to get some stuff recorded for tomorrow to go out. Obviously got a review this week, which I love doing. I love doing them videos. They're some of my favorite ones to do is review the week. And I've got a WTF one planned for this week, just so you know. Got another WTF coming out and working on another kind of documentary type video. Now, it's not about Canelo Bivol. It's just the kind of, I enjoyed doing that first documentary so much, and Dan, the editor, done such a great job that we decided let's just try and do another one. Let's see what we can do. Let's try and do another one. George won on that night fair and square, but he didn't fight the best Teofimo Lopez respectfully. And I agree with that. But I do think that Kambosos' style will always give Lopez problems. Is Spence fully recovered from his terrible car crash? I think he is. I think that I'm pleasantly surprised. I really did worry about Teofimo Lopez. I really did. I did worry about him, but I did really worry about Errol Spence. I really did think that he was done. That there was just so much residual damage that he wouldn't be able to be himself again. But thank God I was wrong. And I was delighted to be proven wrong. I love Errol Spence. I love watching Errol Spence fight. I think he's fantastic, man. How can you not like watching someone like Errol Spence? Honestly, I just think he is just brilliant to watch. How can you not look at someone like Errol Spence and just think, yes, he is great to watch? Do you see Josh Taylor rebounding? Yeah, no, I do. I definitely do. I definitely see him rebounding. Do you rate Garrett A. Davis as an analyst? Not really. I don't particularly like him. But saying that, he when he went to the Pan Olympic Games last summer, I got to fill in for him on Talk Sports. So I kind of own for that because it was nice to fill in. I still can't believe I did that. That was crazy. Filling in for him as a guest on Talk Sport. We're actually co-hosting it with Eddie that day. So I kind of own for that. So I can't really badmouth him too much about that. G-Man, do you see Haney getting stretchered out in Melbourne? I don't see him getting stretchered out, but I I'm going back and forth in my head about this one, mate. To be honest with you, ah man, I think it's a great fight, and I'm kind of I'm kind of like in my head. I'm thinking like every other week, it's like Cambosis this week and then Haney this week. I'm thinking surely Haney can box and be a bit more defensive and use his foot speed, use his long range boxing, and then I'm like, no, I'm thinking Cambosis bit is relentless. He's the home field advantage at Melbourne, and it's going to be fought at normal Aussie time. So it's going to be like 4 a.m. for the guys in the US, like 4 a.m. So it's going to be really, you get to know what it's like for us now. So I don't know. Why do I dislike Lewis Hamilton? I think he's an idiot. I think he's a tremendous driver. Tremendous driver, one of the best of all time. But as a person, I think he's just such a disliked person. God, such a dislikable person, Lewis Hamilton. Just the way he carries, presents himself, the way he's always got, just a lot about Lewis Hamilton I don't like. Tremendous driver, one of the best of all time, top three definitely. But just as a person, do not like Lewis Hamilton. Steve Bunce, what the hell happened? Why have they brought him back? Well, he worked for BBC Radio 5. What the hell happened there? Bit of a glitch. So, people, I think we've gone, yeah, just over the hour mark. So, unless anyone has anything else, I'm probably going to call it there. Hamilton and all sport. Yeah, I wish he would, but he won't because he's an idiot. But that's Lewis Hamilton for you. Great driver, but as a person, just, yeah. Cheers, mate. Man, big up to you. I'm calling it there. I think that is an hour. Hamilton always wearing, yeah, he always wears the muzzle as well, which is another thing I don't like about him. He's the only one who does wear the muzzle still. Bizarre. But people, I'm going to call it there. We had a good chat in this. I enjoyed it. I did as well. I'm going to get review of the week record. It'll go out tonight, probably tomorrow morning, but watch the space. I got another WTF video planned as well for you all. So people, for now, I'm going to call it quits there. Big up to G-Man, I'm off. Stop on Punch Perfect. Yes, big up to Jamie, he's away. And Ayrton Senna is my second favourite. No, second favourite. Michael Schumacher.